Now, it happens that in my lifetime, the greatest biblical archaeological discoveries in the last 2,000 years were made in my lifetime, and I was an adult. The first of the discoveries were the Gnostic Gospels, 1945. They were discovered. They didn't come into print until fairly recently because of the politics, academic corruption. The story, there are now 6 books on the corruption that led to the publication of the Gnostic Gospels. And so they're fairly recent. The same amount of corruption applies to the second biblical archaeological discovery, which has changed our concept of the Bible entirely. The extent to which this occurred, I'm going to show you presently. That is the Dead Sea Scrolls, 1947. And then the third discovery, the most shocking of all, was discovered in the 1970s, the Gospel of Judas, but it did not come into print until about 10 months ago. That is for the same reasons: academic corruption, academic jealousy, academic warfare. And so therefore these texts have all been suppressed. I'm not going to deal with this subject at all. I suggest you not read on it, despite the fact there are many books available on the subject. Now, I'm going to begin by giving 3 quotations from the Gnostic Gospels. Perhaps you will be as baffled as I am. The first quotation is, "Look to yourself and see if you have yet arisen." Now, that's it. You all understand this clearly? If you do, please explain it to me. Now, what does it mean? Now, I'm going to do a translation. The Gnostic Gospels come to us, all of them come in the Coptic language. This is the language of the Christians in Egypt. They are all translations from this language, Koine, Biblical Greek. And so the verb arisen that I just quoted for you, look to yourself to see if you have yet arisen, is the verb anastasia. In Biblical Greek, this is the word. I'm giving you the original word. This is the word that occurs in the 4 canonical Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, for resurrection. And the duplication of that word is intentional. Therefore, what I've quoted to you, ask you, if you have yet arisen means, have you yet been resurrected? I'm going to explain that, but I'm not going to explain it because I cannot. It evades the rational processes, and this is characteristic of the whole Gnostic tradition. I'll explain this word Gnostic in a moment. But it is anti-rational. There are 52 Gospels which have now been translated. There are about 30 or 40 more to go. These are all recent discoveries. They have changed completely the history of Christianity. That's a very strong statement. I'll repeat it. They have changed completely the history of Christianity. When I began to study these matters, I was studying the works of Henry Chadwick, a distinguished clergyman, English clergyman, the Episcopal clergyman, who was a superb scholar. And as a matter of fact, his works are still in print today, but he's a fossil. He's hopelessly out of date. But that's what I had to start with. Himself and Pelikan were the leading scholars, and so I read them both all the way through. What I learned from Henry Chadwick is now as dead as a salted mackerel. I'll explain why in a moment. I'll tell you what it is that died with him. Okay, I say that the remark, the quotation I've just given you, is not to be understood rationally, but it has to be understood intuitively. And the whole of the Gnostic tradition that I'm going to talk about shortly, the whole of it is intuitional in the sense that you reject the rational processes and you leap at the conclusion to the work. or to the quotation. And your impression, your first impression, is the most accurate you will ever get. But you do it on the basis of intuition, not rational processes. This is characteristic of the whole movement. All right, you all understood the arisen then, and you must ask yourself whether or not you have yet arisen. Okay, second quotation from the Gnostic Gospels. You will in your life experience many creations. Now, the word, I'll go back to the original word, from the Coptic, goes back to the Koine. I'll give you the original word in the Koine, the word, is genesis, in biblical Greek. Genesis means creation. And so what the quotation I just gave you from the Gospel of Thomas says that you will in your lifetime experience many creations. But the fact is, you know what creation is. That is, we all went to Sunday school and learned what creation was in Sunday school. And that's the very word that is used. Now, how is it that you are going to, in your lifetime, be exposed to and believe in and participate in many creations? Genesis is the word in biblical Greek. It is the word, I say, that is used all the way through the four Gospels. What are you going to do with that one? The fact is, don't look bemused. The fact is, on the basis of the flash of perception that you made, you understood as much as you will ever understand about this phrase. Now, it would be useful to stop here and forget the lecture and discuss those quotations. I'll give you one more, a real clincher, a third one, and then we'll get on to the subject matter. But I say it would be profitable to stop and discuss those two quotations. I think that is where one finds in the consensus of the group, whatever the group is, doesn't need to be Christian. The Gnostics were passionate Christians, the devoted followers of Christ. That's all they thought about. And this is why the church had to get rid of them. They were uncontrollable. They could not be controlled. They would not subject themselves to any kind of orthodoxy, and they themselves, the Gnostics, had no orthodoxy whatsoever. They were all over the landscape. I'm going to shortly draw you a picture of their concept of what history is. And it's crazy. It's also quite wonderful. But I'm actually going to draw you a picture of it. All right, the third quotation that I wanted to give you before I turn to the subject proper, the third quotation is, I'm going to break into two parts because I have to explain the central word in the quotation. Look into yourself, this is the quotation, and you will find within that which will save you. That's the word save is the one that I want to emphasize here. Because the word save is in biblical Greek is soteria.